Not a sponsor.
Yeah, not a real sponsor.
Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Hello, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Grab a cold evergreen goblet of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Now, for tonight's sponsor. Hey there. If you're a politician and want to get your hands filthy, dirty, then you're in the right place with the new cologne called Mistress. Mistress, the only time that you'll rub something on you that smells great that you probably should not take home, but you do anyway. Mistress, get some now.
Okay.
Wow. Not a sponsor.
Yeah, not a real sponsor.
But something we might want as a sponsor. Come on.
Wow.
Anyway,
Infidelity is in, kids.
especially in this movie.
Uh,
Today on the podcast, we're talking about the topic of the month, which is espionage. This week's movie is the 2009 film State of Play, starring Russell Crowe, Ben Affleck, Rachel McAdams, Jason Bateman, Jeff Daniels, and Helen Mirren. Oh, about Heather. This film tells of a journalist's probe into the suspicious death of a mistress of a congressman. So let's talk about this movie, guys. What did you think about this movie?
Well, it's super unrealistic because a congressman was actually held accountable for something. So
classic John's cynicism.
Somebody actually went down for something?
yeah, and it wasn't just censored in his own party either. It was actual went down for something. So a little unrealistic there, I guess.
It is an older movie.
It's true. I missed this film because I was out of the country during the time it came out. So I had never seen this film until now.
Nice.
Neither.
Oh, good.
So,
I get to hear your guys' fresh takes on it.
oh, I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I really
That was
liked it.
easy.
Yeah, no, it was.
Podcast over.
Yeah, podcast is done. We liked it. Let's go to ratings.
I also liked it. I was very. I thought the acting was very solid. Russell Crowe does a very good part in this movie. I thought it was going to be more of a shared kind of, frontman, Russell Crowe, Ben Affleck. But then I realized this is still kind of where Ben Affleck was trying to kind of get back up on top after the Geely stuff and all of the kind of like misses that he'd had for a little while. But I think he did a solid job as well as Rachel McAdams. Helen Mirren, I keep saying Heather. Helen Mirren is always a delight in most things that she's in. So, and I was kind of, I did, the guy he talked to later on in the movie, the kind of the secret guy.
Mhm.
Did you notice that was David Harbour?
Yes. Yep.
I was like, oh my goodness.
Stranger Things and
lots
of other
Hellboy.
things. Hellboy, yeah.
The new
Yeah.
bad Hellboy. Yeah.
The only one that really surprised me out of all of them was Jason Bateman.
Really?
Was seeing Jason Bateman thrown in, and they put him in a perfect Jason Bateman role too, like
The
sleazy
grease bag?
PR guy. Yeah, perfect role for Jason Bateman, who's high on downers, I guess. I don't know if you call it high, but
Down on downers? Yeah.
Down on downers.
Under the influence of.
Under
Yeah,
the
there you go.
influence of, there we go. Yeah. And no, that was the only one that really surprised me. Like, oh, hey, it's just Jason Bateman. Where the heck did he come from? But I was super, super happy with that. No, I was like Josh, I was really happy with all of the performances. I think Russell Crowe, I've always loved Russell Crowe. I've
Agreed.
loved most of the big films he's done. Gladiator and the Beautiful Mind, A Beautiful Mind, I guess.
That is a good movie.
So Munich, was he in Munich?
I don't know. I've never seen
I
Munich.
don't know. That one's been a while.
There's quite a few movies he's been in, and most of the time I do like him. most time in any movie I've seen him in, I really enjoy his performance.
He was Superman's dad.
That's true. He was.
Yeah, this is where
I'd forgotten about that.
Well, this is part of his clue that he gave us last time.
True.
That is true. I've forgotten about that already. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, Josh.
Yeah. Wow.
Your memory should be good.
Yeah. It was only a week ago. I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. Yes, I did. I can't remember. It was a pretty good lunch. We went to Big Judd's.
Oh, 310 for Yuma. I forgot about that one.
310. I haven't seen that one either.
That one's really good. I mean, it's a remake, but I really, really enjoyed it. Russell Crowe plays the bad guy very well.
You know, I really like his intensity, and even in this movie, his intensity is very well done. You know, I really like this movie because it kind of, yes, it was an investigative, movie into the goings on of in Congress, but it also had so there's lots of good investigation going on. There was lots of good mystery and stuff, but there was action, and I think it was equally peppered very well throughout the movie, to keep me kind of interested in what was going on, as he found out the clues and things like that.
Yeah, do you think this scores well as a espionage movie?
I think it's there. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I mean, there's spying going on. I mean, the mistress was a spy in his cabinet or whatever.
Corporate espionage, I guess.
Yeah, corporate espionage. It fits perfectly.
So
cool.
No, I really enjoy it. I want to say my favorite scene in it, if we're talking about that level of suspense and action that's peppered throughout. I think one of my favorite scenes had nothing to do with the action. It was when he's in his car making those phone calls from the dead guy's phone. He's going through the phone one by one, and he gets some drug dealer or something like that, and he's like, I don't know how to do this, and then he gets to the last number, and it's the mistress's phone. Like that whole scene, the way he acted it, the way the music ran, the way it just came to a dead stop, and you're like, something's wrong here. And just really,
you can feel the intensity from it too, because he's sitting there stopped in traffic, I was
almost pissed for the people. Like, come on, you gotta move.
But that's that was a good moment as well. And then the moments where they would kind of scatter in that kind of dude that was you found out later that was been hired by Ben Affleck's character. With the gun firing, the intensity of that one scene where he killed the pizza boy in the hospital. That was pretty intense as well. Especially that was a good I thought acting job from Rachel McAdams. Because that was a pretty intense scene, and she was very you could tell she was very disturbed by it, which I appreciated.
She's a great actress. I really enjoy a lot of her films. She's been in a few weird ones, like Red Eye, where guy gets stabbed in the throat and just walks it off. Like she's and then
what movie I watch? I love her in Eurovision though, dude.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. Along opposite Will Ferrell. Yeah.
It's funny. My stepdad and my mom were here for New Year's, and my stepdad we were playing games and stuff, and he kind of got a little tired and stuff, and he just like, hey, I'm going to go, lay down on the couch for a minute. We're like, hey, you want to watch something? He's like, sure. And I've been talking about Eurovision, like making some comments and some funny stuff off Eurovision. He's like, let's try that Eurovision show. So we turned it on, and all of a sudden the whole entire family got sucked in, and all of them stopped playing games, and everybody finished Eurovision.
I think it was a phenomenal show, and she played really well, and she played really well in this. Like agreed. I'm trying to think.
She's got chops for comedy, and she's got chops for a good drama, or you
have The Notebook. I've never seen The Notebook, but she's
I haven't either.
It's not a film I'm going to go seek out to watch there.
I might watch it if I trip over it, but that's about it.
I'll make sure I get it on the list then.
But Mean Girls, you didn't watch Mean Girls?
I did. I have seen Mean Girls. Yes. I just forget some of the movies that she's been in. Is all. Yes, I saw Mean Girls a long time ago.
And Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah,
Well-
she's good in Doctor Strange.
So back to this movie.
What movie is this again? No, just
Yeah, which Rich Rachel McAdams film this?
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
We've become a fan club now.
So
So.
state of play.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys think about the themes, like press as a balance to the government, or the press as a balance to corporate interests, or the corruption of the press by corporate interests?
Wow.
So that they really, I think they put the press on a pedestal in this film. Absolutely, they put
I
the
think I
press
might
on
have
the
to agree with
pedestal.
you. So
Yeah.
John a little on this one.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Because
interesting take.
we're because you look at and maybe it was just how news was back in 2008 because I wasn't paying attention, but with the advent of cable news and 24-hour news cycles, you get a lot of garbage, and you get the main networks that are just garbage, and you get mainstream media that you have opposite takes based on political parties now instead of actual news. And so I think they're holding to this ideal and the pedestal that the news is this, not necessarily balanced and fair, because it's not necessarily balanced and fair, but at the same time, it's on a pedestal as this, righteous, we're going to get the truth out there, and the truth is what matters most in all
Well, there's
films
only
here.
one or two characters that actually hold that value in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the entire organization at the press holds that value.
Yeah, that's true. I can
Well,
see
I mean,
that.
they kept talking about Helen Mirren's boss. Like they just kept saying, like, we want it out there, and or there was quite a few different people. They were just like, we don't really care about the whole story. We just want to. What was that one part where she just like, why are we getting scooped by this person, that person? We should be the one that's got another story on top of that story, And now we're hearing it from other papers,
Yeah, it's about
And-
moving paper. Yeah,
and
that's what
that's
I mean
all
by
it's yeah, exactly.
that's what I mean by the corruption of the press by corporate interests. So it's like,
Yeah.
if the press is supposed to be a balance to the government, and it's also supposed to be a balance to corporate interests, once corporate interests are introduced as the controlling faction of the press, which has kind of always been the thing. I mean,
Mhm.
yellow journalism, before the 1940s was definitely a thing, where local newspapers were owned by specific businesses, and they'd only print certain things.
Yeah.
That's in favor of the corporate,
Yeah,
industry.
I guess you're right. You got that, and maybe it
true that
was just the individuals that held those ideas, because it really was. It was Cal and or
So you
Russell
think-
Crowe and McAdams that held
So
it.
do
I
you
guess.
Yeah. So do you think that? So I'm guessing that you would think that Callum was being naive when he said people can still tell the difference between real news and bullshit at the end of the movie.
That's a hard one.
Hmm.
That is a hard one. I don't know if I could.
Now that one stuck out to me because it doesn't. I'm not sure that's actually true anymore.
I that's what I was about to say. Like it's
Maybe at one point it was true, but I would
Well,
agree with you, Crit.
That might be
so-
debatable.
Well,
so my
even
my
I'm leaning towards the side of what you're saying.
my take on it, there's this whole South Park episode arc where they're the news companies are doing sponsored content, and people can't tell the difference between what's an ad and sponsored content and what's actually news. And
Well, yeah,
I
John
think
Oliver got an actual piece of content into sponsored, and I think a Utah,
exactly, and a Utah paper
yeah,
or
no,
was it Utah
a
news
TV
cycle?
show,
Yeah,
TV show,
yeah.
or TV news channel.
So I disagree with Cal and or Russell Crowe's character in the fact that I don't think a lot of people can tell now, because it's getting so subtle, and they have these companies are abusing the trust that they've built up over the ages, when in all reality now they're owned by big corporate sponsors, like you said, and controlled that way. So I think that was definitely naive.
And
in
it doesn't
thinking
matter
that.
what side of the aisle you're on. I feel like everybody in some way, of course, everybody's gonna go to whatever message they're trying to hold out there, but because corporations are corporations, yeah, they're gonna let out only what they think that somebody might want to hear, on their side, or or goes to what what is what I'm trying to say here, that points to the way that they want people to believe. And but it's everybody. It's not one side or the other or whatever. Everybody's doing it, and that's the problem. Here, the funny thing about this show is you see the press, and I can think back to like Superman, Lois Lane and stuff like that, like early Superman, and a lot of press shows like in the 80s and stuff like that, or 90s, where they're always like, the press is neutral. The press is neutral, and if only it was neutral. And maybe at one point they made a big one point in time there was a neutrality, or at least a pretend, or a neutrality that they thought was there, was in their mind. But it's really hard to say that there is that neutrality at all these days and stuff like that. And I can't tell you when it stopped and when it started or whatever, but it's kind of like rolled into, I feel like the way it is today. I can't trust anybody anymore. And I feel like there's more and more distrust of the press anymore. And it doesn't, like, again, it doesn't matter what side you're on. It doesn't matter. There is crap out there from both sides, and it's really hard to tell the difference, because people want to believe, there are still people out there that want to believe that the press is neutral, and they're not. They're absolutely not. And stuff. They are all biased in their own ways. And if that neutrality happened or was fair and balanced, like you said a little while ago, John, then I think it's long gone.
Well, I think that the idea that the press have been or ever have been, a independent system from the rest and able to report, with integrity upon the system is kind of a marketing job, in that it's never really been that way. Now, there's been certain journalists that have strived for it, but as long as a news organization needs to turn a profit, there's just no chance that they'll actually do so. I mean, you've got homogenization of the news. So it's like, we will report on what our competitors report on.
Yes.
So even then, even if you have more than one news outlet, they're all going to report on the same thing. Now with, maybe their own, and then the next thing comes on top of this is their own marketing bent to it. What they think people want to hear, what they think their audience wants to hear. So they'll skew it towards whatever audience they expect to listen to it. True. And they'll do tons of market research to figure out what that is, because essentially what it comes down to is attention is currency, and they're trying to get as much currency as possible because they can turn that into real currency. They can turn that into real dollars through advertising and through advertisers by selling those eyeballs to advertisers. So it's difficult, because I'm sure there are people out there, and I'm sure there are journalists out there that actually do strive for that and try to do, major, really important pieces and stuff like that. But
I would agree with that. There's always going to be those people, Crit.
Yeah, but the problem is like, those people don't turn a profit.
No, it's the people that always find the thrills. It's something that maybe takes a piece of truth and bends it.
It's salacious journalism. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's what we want to. I mean, it's a problem of like, the purchasers of that information want entertainment over facts. And so as long as you will tell me what I want to hear in an entertaining way with lots of graphics and really interesting things to keep me kind of pegged to whatever I'm looking at, I'll tune back in because I'm entertained by it. I like it. It's enjoyable. It reaffirms my current world belief. And so therefore I never have to grow. I never have to learn. I can just kind of sit in this and bask in it, and
it kind of goes back to the shock jocks of old, like Howard Stern and stuff like that. Why do people keep coming back, even though he's naughty or he was? It's because of the shock factor. It's because it's
entertainment. But he's also not saying he's news. Like there's a big difference between someone who's.
And
out
I know
there
he's not news. I'm just trying to say, bringing in that's what pulls people in. Whether they like his views or not.
Sure.
Sometimes they're looking for that that
Yes, but
shock factor.
I'm not really concerned with entertainers. I'm concerned with news
But
organizations
I'm
that
trying to
try to be
mirror
entertainers.
that to news. They kind of do a similar thing of trying to,
Oh, okay.
you know, that's what I'm trying to get
Well,
at. Is
I'm
you
not
that
look
one
at
side's doing the same thing as the other, but just in a different manner.
okay.
look at if we're going to name names here and talk about entertainment as news or news as entertainment, or and entertainers, you look at Tucker Carlson's show and the fact that lawyers have argued, and we can look this up. I mean, this is in records, that no sane person would believe what he's doing is news, that he's an entertainer. But at the same time, it's not marketed that way, and a lot of news shows are like that, where they're legally like, oh nope, this is entertainment, this is an entertainer, but it's all marketed as news. So I mean, it's a pervasive issue. And I think Crit's right. I think it's always been partially this way. I mean, I think it's gotten worse, especially with the advent of the 24-hour news cycle.
Agreed.
I think it's gotten more powerful. I don't know if it's gotten worse, but I think
Yeah,
it maybe
powerful.
in
I think it's a
effect
good
it's
word.
been worse, but it's been gotten more powerful because they have figured out, like, human beings' interests haven't changed in thousands and thousands of years. We like what we like. Our attention, and what they've been doing, what we've built is a crucible that creates organizations highly tailored to keeping our attention. And so due to that, they've just gotten really, really good at it. And
Yeah.
it's gotten to the point where you can kind of nest yourself in an echo chamber, not listen to any dissenting voices, maybe not even be exposed to dissenting voices. Like, the only thing you know about the opposition party is what your own party tells you. Like, you have no interaction with the actual opposition party. You couldn't state what their goals are or anything else like that. And without
Mhm.
that type of knowledge, there's no such thing as consensus.
Yep. And then that's just the political aspect of it too. Then you have the marketing and driving of purchases and driving of habits and driving of trends on top of that. Like, it's just like, I think powerful is an absolute good word for it. It's grown more powerful, and just in every part of our lives now.
And a lot of people would have said that, I mean, I remember, people talk about power of the press, if it's like, if you're putting it into a newspaper, I mean, newspapers were, such the thing back in the day. And, that's what people, hung their hat on. I mean, it was like, the gospel when it comes to like news, because that's all they had access to. And now that it's amazing how so different it is from, like, even this show of it being like the Globe, a newspaper, and then how they've, even if you look online, I mean, it would, like, every news everything has gone online. And like, if you thought the newspaper was powerful, and even Rachel McAdams, he kind of, Russell Crowe even scoffed at Rachel McAdams about her blog, and this is 2009. I mean, and I still think that people were still getting their heads around how powerful even using the internet could be for news, and bringing people into that as well, and how much more power it would bring them.
Yeah,
bring to the table.
I think as much cynicism as the movie itself has in it, around politicians and the privatization of the military and stuff like that, I think it's actually extremely optimistic. It was extremely optimistic in its take on where the press would end up being, and as a pillar of society. Because
Yeah.
I don't. It seems evident, at least for now, that isn't the case anymore.
Yeah.
At least
I
not
agree with
in
that.
a major way. Maybe in minor ways, but not in a major way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I would too. Very much
Um,
so. And I thought that was a kind of another angle that, along with the press angle, I'm glad you brought that up because it's such a major part of this. But the other part was, we see it, and I've even seen some documentaries and things like that about privatization of, like, even like the armies, and how much, um, how much that's going on even within our own country, how they use external armies, not the army, but they use, like, organizations or corporations to do things, private contractors, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
So back to the movie with regards to that point.
Yeah.
I really liked how the movie kept you involved in that plot line. Like, no, this is about corporate espionage. This is about, this corporate takeover of the army and the military. Like, this is what this is really about. And I think the film does such an excellent job of running you through that ringer until almost the very end.
It's a nice twist, isn't it? Yeah.
No, this is a murder. This is a murder mystery is what we're solving here. This has nothing to, I mean, it has everything to do with it, but like this film, this story has to deal with the murder.
Hey,
yeah.
Speaking of the murder, how did the wife know that the lady was getting paid $23,000?
Because the congressman told her.
Ben Affleck's character told her?
Yeah, Ben Affleck's character told her. And that's how Cal knew, is like, okay, how did Ben Affleck know?
Oh, okay. I follow that line now. And stuff. I guess I just didn't put 1 and 2 together. That was a good twist at the end, though, with Ben Affleck being the actual person that kind of started a lot of this,
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the ending, but I'd like to hear your ideas first.
I think mixed is a good way. I appreciated the ending.
I think it was a little too neat and tidy.
Yeah, maybe a little bit that way.
That's why
and like I said, a little unrealistic.
Yeah,
yeah. Little unrealistic, but I think it was the rule of cool, and we have to finish this film type deal.
Yeah,
where everything was neat and tidy and had to be wrapped up and taken care of. So.
And I don't know of one newspaper that would hold that front page probably as long as they did. I don't know.
Oh, I want to say this is one of the few films I actually watched the credits all the way through because they made it interesting.
Yeah. The whole printing of the press and running it. Yeah,
they made it interesting to watch. It was great.
It was. I thought it was really cool to see how they do the negatives and all that stuff. So anybody out there, watch through the ending credits. It's kind of neat how they made the newspaper. But that's I thought that was kind of a nice touch as well.
Yeah. So the twist ending, it was interesting because at least narrative wise, I'm not saying that what the military contractors were doing was correct, but they were definitely set up as the false lead, right? It's like the whole movie is making you look this direction so it can at the end make you look the other direction, right? And it's interesting, but it's also like it basically, the whole narrative of the film boils down to one disturbed guy with a gun, because he overinterpreted the senator's interest in what was going on. And according to the senator, this disturbed guy that he saved in Afghanistan or Iraq, wherever they were at, basically didn't like what she was doing, and so decided to take it into his own hands. And it feels like a cop out to me, at least on the page. Like if you're just looking at the screenplay and you're like, okay, at the very end, it turns out it's a disturbed person who did all this, and none of this was really about, the privatization of the military or the corruption of the government or anything else like that. And it's like,
what story's bigger? I mean, they're both big stories. They're both big things. I agree with you on the fact
I think it leans a little too much into the crazy person did it. Like, I agree. Kind of a stigma,
and it wouldn't have taken that much to change that either.
Yeah,
they didn't need as many crazy things about the guy. They needed to put more on the senator's shoulders. Either he hired him or he didn't care what was going on or something like that. So you can't get away from that. But they didn't need the crazy part. I mean, they could have gotten away with it.
It's almost like they wanted us to, not hate Ben Affleck's character as much. It was more of it's a mistake, a miscommunication, as opposed to like intentional evil, which I guess might be closer to reality.
Ben Affleck's character for his infidelity, so.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a piece of crap, but there's a difference between a piece of crap and
a murderer,
actually evil. Yeah, actually. So like, who's the actor that played I can't think of his name right Now. Bridges. No, not Bridges.
Jeff Daniels.
Yeah. So Jeff Daniels' character definitely comes across more, but he's more like just, self-righteous and, fully corrupt. But
I honestly thought
Exactly.
he was the guy for a while. I mean, and
Right, yeah.
they were on purpose pointing you towards him as well.
Yep. And that's kind of what I come to these types of movies for, right? Is the how much can they reveal about the ending? Like they showed the photo of, them together in the military with the guy who did the shooting not covered
Very
up
beginning.
very early in the movie. Yeah, very
Yeah.
early in the movie. So it's not like, so it's kind of interesting to see how they play their hand early, and so that
See
you
who
can't just
catches
be
it.
like, yeah, see who catches it. Yeah, exactly.
So you can't be just like not quite a Deus Ex ending, but where it's
Like a rug pull. Yeah.
a rug pull ending. It's like, no, we've been telling you, like we've been
Right.
showing you, you can connect the dots. We made sure there's dots to connect here. So I appreciate that quite a bit about
I do
the
too.
film.
I like movies that, it's
rug
not like
pulls.
a total reveal at the end. There's actual, things speckled throughout. And if you're paying attention and you understand the where that piece fits in the movie, or if it does,
Like The Prestige.
yeah, well, that's a good one. That's a good one to point.
I think The Prestige does it better. Yeah, but yeah.
I wouldn't.
Agreed.
I don't know if it. Yeah, I think it does it. It does it well, but it's a good non-rug pull. It illustrates the difference between a rug pull and a nope. We're showing you everything in front of you. You're too dumb to see it.
Yep.
You're not quite too dumb, but it's like you're not expecting it, so you're not looking for it. But it's there.
One of the movies I think did that well. It just popped into my head where they show you everything that's going on, but you still have no idea what's going on. Arrival.
Yeah, well, that one messes with you for many reasons, but yes, Arrival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're giving you everything. You just don't know the order they're giving it to.
So
you in.
where does The Sixth Sense fall in? Does The Sixth Sense a rug pull, or is it it's in front of you?
I'd say there's evidences in front of you because the red doorknobs, those are all places he can't go. There are clues speckled through that whole thing if you on a second rewatch that do give you a hint of what's going on, but I feel like it's kind of in between both of those actually.
No,
Yes.
I think Josh, you got it right. It's on the second watch will tell you whether or not a movie's a rug pull.
Yeah.
Or the twist ending's a rug pull. And I don't think it is for Sixth Sense, because a second watch lets you recontextualize all of the interactions.
Yeah.
And it works.
It does.
I think if it's a rug pull, you watch it again and the ending comes out of nowhere just to have a twist ending. It doesn't really do anything. Say like The Village, where the twist ending doesn't help the story that was actually being told.
No.
Like it's just an additional fact added to the end of it to go, see, you didn't know this was current day. And it's like, okay, that doesn't really go
change
towards
the story.
Yeah, it doesn't change the story. Isn't really hinted at anywhere. I mean, it's really artificial and really unsatisfying. And I think that might be the litmus of it, is another watch of the movie to see if it actually is satisfying.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm glad I said that, even though I wasn't saying it. I didn't know I was saying it and stuff.
Yeah, you said that.
Because like even with The Sixth Sense, you go back and things I didn't notice, like when he was never talking to anybody. He was always just there in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just stuff like that. It's really cool. And I'm going to use that. That's something I think I might do. Going forward of movies like this. If I watch it again a second time, knowing the ending, are there things there that are pointing and that are interesting that I can see now versus later? And I bet you in this movie, yeah, definitely I would see it and go, oh yeah, cool. They did give us a heads up really far in the movie. I just didn't know, how to contextualize that. So
right, like, so the writing that Ben Affleck's character, the congressman, what he's saying when he's, kind of, especially when he shows up at the door and stuff like that, it is a different context. Like, it's slightly different context if you watch it again, knowing where the ending's at.
Which part is that again?
When he first shows up at Russell Crowe's character's door.
Oh, okay.
And that whole scene and them talking together and stuff like that.
Or when he comes back to give his like on the record stuff.
Yep. Well, that for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I didn't think about that when the part. I know they said it in the movie, and I went, "Aha!" at that point. But that's a good point. That really does make it look different of why he came to him originally, to tell him what he had done, and then he kind of decided not to because he thought Russell Crowe was probably going to report on him or something, or being the reporter instead of the friend.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It's really funny on the surface. This movie doesn't feel. I mean, it feels like it's just a basic, whodunit movie, and stuff. And yet, this is. I am surprised, and the more and more we talk about it, I am surprised actually how deep this movie is, and how many different things it touches on in society. It's quite interesting, and I love in movies like that do that. I tend to like those more. Than the common just everyday of who done it, just a everyday mystery, just to find out, who done it. These ones that have the commentaries. I mean, it's just like why I like Star Trek. Yes, Star Trek is science fiction, but it also, most of the time, good Star Trek, just like any good sci-fi, is usually commenting on, a societal problem or something going on in life. And that's why I like this. It's got all the mystery, but it's also got all these other commentary stuffs that make it even more deep and interesting.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that makes it a better movie in my mind than some movies that are similar to this in the similar time period, is that it does take a stance. John at the beginning of the podcast was like, this over puts press on the pedestal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think because it does that, it gets to have a narrative, not a narrative, but a theme or an opinion, and it sticks with that opinion for most of the movie. And that's makes it a little easier to kind of tease out other things from it. Like, can the press actually? Yeah, it's like, if the press is on a pedestal, now we can examine that pedestal and we can go, well, in the movie, does the press balance the government? Does the press balance corporate interests? Is it corrupted by corporate interests? And what does that influence look like? And then, of course, us looking back on it and going, well, it seems like it didn't win the fight. Like if it was optimistic about where the press would be, it didn't win the fight, in the end, at least so far. Could come back, who knows? But because this stuff is cyclic, it's like the journalism gets terrible, everything gets terrible because of it, and then as journalism gets better and people start figuring out what's actually happening, then there's a chance for society to turn around.
Do you really believe it's cyclical?
I think it is. I think if you look back on yellow journalism of previous decades.
What is yellow journalism, by the way? I don't know if I'm familiar with that term.
I don't have a good definition. I could probably look it up, but I'll just say my interpretation of yellow journalism is picking the facts you want to put in front, not because you're trying to inform people, but because you're trying to sway people. So it's the difference between journalism and marketing or advertising. Okay. So marketing and advertising is about making you feel something and then equating that with some truth that you want them to have, whatever, and truth in quotes, not like absolute truth or objective truth, but just subjective truth. I see this, amazing model standing next to this car. I now associate beautiful woman and car, and now I think the car is, sexy and neat. That's, rudimentary, but that's basically what advertising and marketing kind of comes to. Mm-hmm. Journalism would be, this is the car, this is how it's built, this is where it's built, this is why it was built, and this is who buys it, and it's not trying to associate, a feeling to that necessarily.
Okay.
Right. And so yellow journalism has been around forever. Like it's kind of part of the whole process. And the idea of a free press is really optimistic and awesome in its ideal. It's just extremely hard to do that because you need to pay journalists. And, who pays the journalist gets to kind of, at least usually not directly. It's usually not like a actual order to do or not do something, but it's a pressure. It's a social pressure. Like, don't say that. Don't, if you're working for, whatever that, what was the news organization that Jeff Bezos bought? Is that the Washington Post?
I can't remember, but the
Anyway,
fact
like
that
if
he
you're working for
bought
them,
one.
you're probably not going to, you start seeing opinion pieces that are very positive
Well, even in
towards
this
what
movie,
Bezos
you
is doing.
saw Russell Crowe even being biased toward because it was his friend, and
Yeah.
he even
Yeah.
told
No,
Rachel McAdams at one point, like, don't put that in there, and that was him basically, doing
yeah,
exactly what you're saying right now.
exactly. And the idea that there isn't that's very, very dangerous. Like that's a lie the devil tells you that you want to believe, and you shouldn't. Like you should be informed about what the past history says around journalism so that you can at least always look at journalism from a skew and always just ask yourself who benefits from this news story. Now that necessarily say that the news story is wrong or that the facts that are in it are wrong, um, but you always need to kind of look at it that way. And then it takes a little effort. But the problem is, like, modern day society, how much time do you have to put that effort in? Like, unless you're interested in it. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, this idea.
And kind of, I was just gonna say, and going back to the cyclical thing, do you think it can get back to a more?
I mean, it's
I'm just
possible.
asking the question because we're talking about, can it get back? I mean, we're in this cycle right now where, it's exactly what you're talking about here. It feels like everybody, it doesn't matter who it is, picking and putting the things that they want out there more and more than actually just putting the story out there and letting people, make up their minds about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's possible. I think it's harder than it's ever been previously because,
Agreed.
like I said, we've built a crucible, at least in the U.S., for creating organizations like this that'll be really good at maintaining themselves. Um, the only thing that I mean, there's lots of scenarios, I guess, that could happen that would upset that balance. But that's I can't really predict the future on that, but it has been
No.
cyclical in previous centuries. At least since the Industrial Revolution, it's possible that it just maybe the cycle takes longer each time because each time the news organizations are more powerful in their media and their ability to kind of move with what they think people want and feed people what they want as opposed to feed people what they need. And as far as, like, actual facts and some type of shared objective reality, um, I don't know. It could take longer to get out of the cycle and into the next cycle, but it's possible we never get out of it. But who
Well, from
knows?
the
I
optimistic
don't know.
side, our friend Pete says that, that's one of my, it's one of my superpowers, it's to always be hoping for, it's hard to dislike things, or you're always hoping or trying to see the good in things. And I try to see the good in the press, that it is doing good, but, but you're always hoping that, that one day that they'll do better
Well, I've
and that they'll get
actually,
out of it.
yeah, I've actually started thinking of the press like food franchises. Um,
Okay.
don't follow the franchise, follow the chef. So if you think that, Jason Schreier does really good work, in, like, say, the gaming news industry or something like that, follow him. If he moves to a new franchise, like starts publishing his articles at a different place, go read him at that place. And cautiously give trust. Don't just implicitly trust, but cautiously give it. And then if the chef continues to make good meals, then follow the chef. Don't follow the franchise. Who cares what CNN as an organization says? If there's a news person on there that you find has integrity and has shown it, and you can give them a modicum of trust, and they move to a new organization to do the news or to be an editor or to be a producer, maybe go check that out. Follow the people, because a person can be great, and there's something there that people um, can be positive actors of change. It's just that corporate organizations have a hard time, almost an impossibility, to be so.
Yeah.
Because when you just get that many people together and that much power centralized, everybody gets paralyzed to do anything really good. Because doing anything really good, I mean, it takes a type of leadership that a lot of corporate leaders they just don't have, or they don't want to have. So you kind of have to do it for yourself.
Agreed. I think that's a
So,
good
yeah.
way. I think you put it in a good way, Crit. Follow the chef. I think that's one of the best ways. I mean, heck, I find myself doing it in a lot of. I find myself doing it in movies. It doesn't matter what studio someone goes with,
Right.
as long as I'm gonna like a director no matter where they go.
Right.
Especially like with Villeneuve and stuff.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, is that, I'm sure studios would love to have the sway that news organizations have, like the actual sway and stuff like that. Like if you're listening to Fox News, how much do you know, like, to specific people, like when you tell people, oh, I watch Fox News, okay, or I watch CNN or MSNBC or something like that, right? It's like, okay,
Mhm.
that's fine. But I'd rather know who you watch on that. Who are you listening to? Because that tells me more. And I guess the other thing I want to add is pick
Good point.
pick some opposing voices that are reasonable. Even if you find a chef that's great, no one needs to eat. Maybe the chef is really great at making hamburgers. You don't need to eat hamburger every day. You could probably have a wider diet than that. So follow many chefs that cook different things. Same thing with the news thing. Follow different people that have different says on it. Again, a modicum of trust, not all of your trust. And, kind of fill up your news feed in any way you can with a multitude of voices. Because listening to one person, well, that's a cult, and you don't want to be part of that.
I've and I agree with that, and we've had this talk before a lot. One of the things,
that's my usual soapbox.
No, I know, but what's one of the things I've always I tell you also, and people out there can hear it if anybody's listening to us, is that that's why I've always enjoyed being friends with you two, because we don't always agree. I mean, there's definitely. I mean, I feel like we are all very good friends and have
Yep.
been for a long time, and you two are some of my closest friends that I have, and just to be friends, does that mean you have to have equal like thoughts and opinions? And no, and that's the great thing about it is, about our friendship, is we don't, and it's fun to talk about those things. And
Yeah.
I think that more and more friendships and more people need to be that way. We need to be hearing. That's why I love being with you guys as well, is that I don't always hear sometimes always the other side. I try to immerse myself in hearing a little bit of both, because I want to be able to talk to this both sides, and hearing it from your guys and your point of views, that just enriches my life even more. And that's what the people need more, is to be able to hear that and then make decisions for themselves instead of letting other people make decisions for them.
Yeah, I just think modern life can be a bit difficult when it comes to information. It's just very
Agreed.
difficult. I mean, you have to kind of be on a diet, and everybody hates diets.
Yeah. I definitely hate them. Anyway. But yeah. So anyways, yeah, that's good stuff. And like I say, hopefully the press can, one day turn it around, and maybe we can trust in them more, and we don't have to be so critical. And so, I don't know. I hope so. Again, I'll be optimistic here. And,
It'd be nice if it got
can hope
easier.
for the best. It would. I hope it does. I don't see that happening in this moment, but I always do hope for the best.
Sure.
And stuff. So, well, that's all I've got. Anything else you guys want to bring up?
Nope, I'm good.
I'm good.
I think we've had an excellent discussion here, guys.
Yeah.
Very
So,
in depth. What should we?
Want to do ratings?
Let's do ratings. I'll go first. I gave this movie a 7 out of 10 mistresses and stuff like that.
That's a lot of
I really like this
mistresses.
movie a lot.
Are the other three dead?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'd watch
Little
this
body
with my
count.
mom. She likes thrillers like this.
Oh,
Does
cool.
she?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think my mom would like this one too.
Yeah, I gave it the same 7 out of 10. It was very entertaining. I think the ending, blaming it on mental illness, kind of knocked a point off of it probably. But I think overall,
Agreed.
very well put together, great narrative, good acting. Yeah, 7.
Agreed. I'm trying to be a little bit more picky about my. You guys have commented that I've been a little bit too liberal with my numbers, so I'm trying to be a little bit more
I
dialed
don't know if
in
you're
on
being
my-
too liberal. I just thought it was an interesting. It's like you're scoring things like game journalism, where a 7 is a 5.
Right.
Oh.
Trying to be a little bit more like aware of that.
It's okay.
All right, gentlemen. We are up with the next week's topics, and we're going off of the topic of movies that were once TV shows for the next month, if you didn't hear last week. And John, I believe it's you this week, right?
No, because it always starts with you.
Yeah, I know. I got him already. I'm just messing with you.
Oh,
I totally
I
have him
should
already.
have said yes and just done what I had already put. What I had.
I'm just messing with you.
Throw you off.
No, I really do. I have all ready to go.
and then given all your
I
picks
just wanted
in
to hear
Spanish.
I just wanted to hear the suck of air. What? Yeah.
All right.
All right, you guys ready for this?
Yep.
Yes, Josh the troll, give us your picks.
Yeah, thank you. Number 1, Genesis might be a person involved in this movie. Okay. Number 2, this movie could make you super mad, or you might love it. Number 3, the person in this movie is a dick.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go with number 3. Honestly.
All right. Number 3 it is.
Number 3? All right.
Yeah, I think I know number 1, but we'll find out.
Okay, Genesis might be involved in this movie. What do you think it is, John?
Well, I'm thinking it might be a Star Trek, maybe.
No, it's not actually.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
You thought it
Genesis-
was Wrath of Khan, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. With Genesis and movies,
Yeah.
TVs to shows. I'm like, oh, hey.
Believe it or not, the second one is Wrath of Khan.
Oh, is it really?
It really
Oh my
is.
gosh.
That's this movie could make you super mad, as in
Right.
Wrath, or you might love it. It's my
my
favorite Star
gosh.
Trek. All right, this one is Genesis. I didn't know if I spelled his name right, but it looks like Genesis is the patron saint of acting, or the movie The Saint
Okay.
with Val Kilmer.
With Val
Yeah.
Kilmer,
Yeah.
That's such a
so,
weird
yeah,
movie.
it is. I kind of enjoy it. So it's a different movie, but it's still kind of fun.
All right.
And the last movie, the person in this movie is a dick, is The Fugitive, because the name of the guy who is the Harrison Ford plays
Mhm.
is Richard.
All right.
So
watching
we're
The
going
Fugitive.
on Harrison Ford's The Fugitive
Okay.
for the next one. Hopefully you guys are okay with that. I think it's a very
Yeah.
good movie.
Well, we don't have a choice. We picked it. I mean, we
Yeah,
did have a choice.
you
We
picked it. It
Yeah.
could have been Wrath of Khan or The Saints, guys.
Yeah.
And
All right.
there's,
The
you know what?
Fugitive.
I got writing down movies that were TV shows first. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, it's a wide genre.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun little kind of, anyways, just a little bit of a change of pace, a little bit. Throw a fun one in every once in a while. Sometimes we pick some really serious topics. I'm like, yeah, I'll throw this one in and stuff. But anyways, all right. Harrison Ford's The Saint, and we're going to be watching a dick and stuff. All right.
Oh, jeez.
Hopefully someone doesn't come in late in the podcast and hear that. Everybody, I appreciate you being on the program with us. I thought it was a fun topic tonight, a fun conversation. And everybody out there listening, thank you for supporting our channel. If you like what you hear, please, if you like what you heard here, please click the like button. And as always, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper from all of us here at Josh's House of Nerd. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our